Fillmore's words, it was a continuation of the educational system inaugurated by Jesus Christ. So that's why in Unity we see Jesus as our way shower, our teacher, our elder brother, our master, if you will, in that he is one of the wisdom keepers that is showing, has provided us with a path and with a light to our way. And inasmuch, Unity encourages us to study, to question, to have curiosity, to explore, along with having a healthy respect for life's mysteries, which are all important to the ever-evolving spiritual journey. In other words, it's not about passively sitting in the pews and just taking stuff in. If you really are active in Unity, you get engaged in your beliefs and what works and your practices in your daily living. We're called constantly to guard against stagnant dogmas and human arrogance, and to be willing to be and live in the question. I still remember Rory and I promising when we came to this community that we wouldn't likely answer many of your questions, but we would definitely question your answers, just as we questioned our own answers. In essence, Unity encourages and teaches us to listen and follow divine guidance. We use affirmations and such, but it's always balanced with us knowing that there's a greater wisdom than what we possess in this moment. So we're taught to listen and to be open and receptive to new insights, new awareness, and expanding consciousness, even as it often drags us out of our comfort zones. How many of you feel like Unity has dragged you out of your comfort zone on multiple occasions? Which is what I define, what I understand to mean walking humbly with my God. That even as I embrace principles, I stay open to realizing that I don't have a full understanding, that I can work the principles, but that they're also going to work me. They're going to work within me and change me. Charles Fillmore not only reserved the right to change his mind, but also made it known that he expected those who followed him to expand and evolve beyond his spiritual understanding, which brings us ultimately to the defining principle upon which all of this rests. We say it every Sunday. There is only one presence and one power in the universe, God the Good. This principle of oneness is not unique to Unity. Fillmore would be the first to admit that he wasn't inventing anything new. He was just continuing this process of teaching the perennial wisdoms of all the world's religious traditions, which is why he came up with the name Unity, because he didn't want to see separation. He wanted to bring forth all of the wisdom of all of the traditions, of all of the schools, including science, for us to learn and grow from. Many, including me, were first drawn to Unity by this principle with an intuitive acceptance that mirrored our intuitive rejection of the whole idea of a battle between universal forces of good and evil, of God and the devil, of heaven and hell, and the concept of original sin. Many of you found that as a very enticing aspect of Unity. I find it interesting that I realized that when I look back, but once we heal that dynamic, and we all experience it in different ways, I was fortunate that I didn't actually get inculcated with a specific religion, but it did, that community, that general cultural awareness of that kept me away from exploring spiritual paths. There are others who get deeply wounded by some of our religious traditions, and when they come into Unity, they share with me how they cry at every service, because they begin to realize that they're whole, and that they're not wicked sinners, and that there's nothing wrong with who they are, and it becomes a healing process. But what I found is once that realization, once that healing occurs, once we finally are able to leave the old behind and say, okay, so now I get it, that's not my truth, this principle of one presence and one power then ultimately begins to unfold within us. And our true spiritual journey begins. And we're going to pick up on that next week. But I'm going to leave you with this little preview that many of you may resonate with. It's Catherine Ponder describing her reaction to first reading Emily Cady's book, Lessons in Truth. She says, "Why didn't someone tell me a long time ago what was in this book? That the true nature of God is unlimited good, that God is personality of good and evil, that God loves me, that the true nature of man is that of a spiritual being, and that God is within me. Why didn't somebody tell me?
We're telling you now.
Next week.
So we've come to that time in our service where we get to take all of the things that we've just heard and we get to put them into practice and experience them. And so I invite you now, if you're comfortable, to just gently close your eyes, perhaps uncrossing your legs and placing your feet flat on the floor. Untangle your arms, roll your shoulders back a little and let them just fall and be relaxed. And you can place your hands gently on your lap, resting your hands in a relaxed posture, but palms facing up, indicating that receptive gesture, telling the universe that you are open to receive. And so now taking a slow, deep breath in and releasing it slowly, feeling yourself settle down more into this pew, feeling the tension begin to release, taking another deep breath in and releasing it slowly. With each breath, feeling yourself more present. And one more time, taking a deep breath in, holding it at the top for just a moment, and then releasing slowly. Each breath brings us more into our bodies, more into this present moment, more into the awareness of that one presence and one power, God the Good. And as we quiet all the distractions of our mind, we begin to become aware of that presence. It can even sometimes become palpable. But we have to quiet our minds first, quiet our bodies, and come into the present moment. In that present moment is where we know the truth. It's where we allow all of the appearances of the material world to just gently fade into the background. It's all still there. The world still exists in all of its limitations and failings, in all of its beauty and wonder. But during these times of quiet, we focus on the spiritual spiritual realm, where we are all connected, all part of that one power and one presence. This is the time where we remind ourselves that it's all God. Everything we see, everything we can touch and smell and hear, it's all an expression of the divine. And we can find ourselves floating in that vast presence of God, upheld by it, sustained and supported and embraced by it. That loving presence. That always unfolding, upward progressive movement of life. Always expanding, progressing, spiraling up towards more good, more love, more fuller expression of that one power and one presence. And so I invite you now to just spend a few moments gently resting in that awareness of oneness and goodness and love in the silence. So as we begin to prepare to bring this time to a close, I invite you to just take a mental snapshot of what this moment feels like to you. How you feel in that calm, peaceful, present state. And tuck that snapshot away say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.
Well, we have come to an important time in our service when we have the opportunity to become part of God's flow in the world. One more opportunity to become part of God's flow in the world.